Washington Post reporter Amber Phillips joins me now to talk about this. Okay, Amber, it's clear the president's not going to let this go. Senator Mitch McConnell wants to move on. Where do you see this going from here? Do you think they can get on the same page?
No, not on health care. Listen, health care is in the past, and Republicans are still arguing. They were doing it behind closed doors until now. This week, they're doing it just out in the open about who's to blame for it. Clearly, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of frustration, both in the White House and in Congress. And you know what? Republicans failed to pass Obamacare repeal. That's what happened. When they come back in a couple weeks, they have a huge to-do list, and they have a chance for some political successes, including tax reform. And so all this bickering is not helping them get on the same page. Probably not for Obamacare anytime soon, but definitely not for tax reform.
You say not for Obamacare. Do you think that it's even possible that the Senate and the House can stomach another round of Obamacare repeal and replacement?
I don't know right now. It's very clear that McConnell and in the House Speaker Paul Ryan tried really, really hard. I mean, they knew what was at stake here. They knew that Republicans had spent 7 years campaigning on this, finally controlled all of Washington. They knew they had to get something done, and they did not give up until they literally could not find out another path. I think the most likely option is that there's not necessarily a debate or even an attempt to repeal Obamacare, but rather an attempt to try to fix Obamacare. Of course, we're hearing now that some members in the Senate, both Republican and Democrat, want to hold hearings on how to prop up subsidies that President Trump is trying to take away. There could be a dozen other tweaks to the law that Congress could do, and perhaps come back next year before the midterm election and say, hey, look, we at least made health care more affordable or easier for you to do, or we fixed some of Obamacare's problems.
Oh, it's interesting to hear you say that. I want to ask you about the latest cover boy at the White House. White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly, he made the cover of Time magazine. It called him the president's last best hope. Is that the case? Do you really believe that he is President Trump's last best hope?
I don't know. We're 7 months into a 4, maybe 8-year administration. So if he is, he's going to be one of the longest chiefs of staff who would last ever in White House history. Listen, but as that Time magazine reporting shows, General Kelly was really brought into this job because a lot of people in Trump's inner circle felt that no one else could handle this White House and put it on its right tracks. Like, it was just falling off the rails. They couldn't get out in front of any Russia story. Donald Trump tweets and completely takes away from any kind of positive message that they want to share. And so a lot of people in Trump's inner circle felt, let's bring this really tough, no BS kind of Marine guy in and see if he can right the ship. He's on trial right now. We'll see.
Is there a sense, you cover the White House, a different tone coming from the White House since Kelly came in?
Yeah, it's a little bit more in line. Kelly is someone who doesn't tolerate people going on TV or calling up New Yorker reporters and cursing out the rest of their team, right? Since Kelly came on, we don't hear that. We don't hear about a ton of the infighting. It seems like the Bannon versus the establishment wing is kind of simmered, at least for now. The next big challenge for Kelly and the White House in general is how to get the guy that everyone listens to, the president, on message. And that involves something that seems near and dear to the president's heart, his Twitter account. And I think we're all watching to see if Kelly can say, hey, Mr. President, let me have that. Let me take away your passwords. We're going to tweet from you from now on.
Good luck with that, Amber. I'm not sure that's ever going to happen, but I guess one can be optimistic. I do want to get you to weigh in on North Korea. General Mattis and the president used very strong words to describe what would happen if North Korea continued to make those threats. How are their responses being received in Washington?
Total confusion. Americans in Washington or elsewhere in the country trying to figure out if we were walking toward potential war with North Korea had total whiplash and still do these past 24 hours. Yes, no, maybe, we're fire and fury. No, wait, that wasn't really a strategy. It's absolute confusion here in Washington. And I think at the end of the day, when you boil it down, you need to look at what the President of the United States says. If he's bragging about nuclear might and he's threatening some kind of strike in retaliation to North Korea, I think it's worth believing him because he's the one with the nuclear codes. And I sense that in Washington, that even as publicly lawmakers say, we're okay, let's calm down, we can sleep well at night, everyone knows that we have an unpredictable president.
President's words do matter. You certainly got that right. Amber Phillips from Washington, thank you for joining us, Amber.
Thank you.